YouTube, hello! Before we get down to the serious business here, because everything on this channel is serious business, as you know, especially the toy collecting stuff, that's very serious indeed. Forget all the philosophy videos and the stuff about religion and metaphysics and philosophy and all that stuff. That's just frivolous. It's the toy collecting and the movie reviewing that's the serious business here. So let's get the frivolousness out of the way first, shall we? Frivolous business. Obligatory plug, Strange Playgrounds, my short story collection, will be released sometime in March. Probably towards the end of the month. From Dark Moon Digest. We are still running, Nick Hardy, and myself are still running competition for materials, etc., that people want to produce in promotion of Strange Playgrounds. A little more examination of how that works. Basically, Nick had this fantastic idea. Nick is a photographer and he's producing stuff to promote the book. Nick had this fantastic idea of publishing a sister volume alongside the volume of short stories, which we're going to publish independently, which will contain promotional materials that people out there have made with regards to the book's themes and so on and so forth. We're particularly looking for visual works, so photographs, manipulated images, paintings, drawings, anything to that effect. But we will have a look at anything, music, videos. We'll look at anything really, and see if we can have a use of it. What do you get out of this? Well, basically there will be 3 top tier winners who Nick and I will choose, who will get £100 each. Furthermore, Nick and I will not be making any money from this venture at all. Any money that comes in from the sister volume, probably won't be much, but any money that we make from the sister volume will be distributed equally amongst whoever is published in it. So basically anyone who has work that's published in the book will get whatever money comes from the book back. Simple as that. We're not looking to make money from this venture at all. It's an artistic sort of promotional tool, really. We want it to be a collaborative thing. We want people to get involved. We want to inspire people. So if you want to take part, there's still plenty of time. Go down to the linky bar down there, to the fellatio bar, and you will find links to the competition, to Nick Hardy's photography company. I forgot what he did then. Photography company, Futuristic Productions, and to Dark Moon Digest, to Dark Moon Books rather, where the book will soon be available. Awesome. Now, I forewarn, this will probably be a very long video. I'm attempting something here. I'm attempting something I haven't done before, and it will probably be exhausting and long and rambling, and probably no one will watch it towards the end, but that's fine because I want to do it for my own amusement. There are 3 movies, that I have been sort of thinking about, and I've been intending to do reviews for a long time, since I first saw them. Simply because they had such a profound impact on me. But I just haven't had time. There's so much going on. I've got stuff going on with work. I'm moving next week, actually. Yes, I'm moving into a beautiful little flat, which is just up the road there. Absolutely stunning little place. I'm in love with it. I absolutely love it. But once I've got an internet connection up and running there, I will show you where I live. It's beautiful. It's eccentric and weird and very much like me, and I love it. So there's that, and the Strange Playgrounds, which I am should be working on right now, editing, but I'm not. I'm doing this because I'm having a break. God damn it! I've been working on it all day. So the movies. Numero uno. I am very late to this one. I'm aware of the fact. Very late. Skyfall. A movie I never intended even to see. I never thought I would even see it. Not at the cinema, not on DVD, not on television. I never thought I'd intended to see it. Why? Because I'm not the intended audience. I can't stand James Bond. I have no investment in that franchise, in the characters, the world, at all. Nothing. Not a goddamn thing. Excuse me, I have a mug of tea here whilst I'm shouting at you from afar. But yes, James Bond. I just don't like it. It is this hyper macho, very frictionless world that I just have no. It doesn't speak to me. It doesn't speak to my experience of things. I don't like the literature. I don't like the books, and I don't like the films at all. In point of fact, the films that people like the best, although I have seen practically all of them. Why have I seen practically all of them? Well, as an Englishman, you're kind of obliged to have seen practically all of them. It is, in fact, written into law here. It's a little known law, particularly in lands other than our own. But if you haven't actually seen every single one of the established James Bond films, by the time you're 15, you're dragged away at school, chained down, and forced to watch them back to back. It's a bit like that scene in Clockwork Orange, you know, where they're programming Alex, the Lodovico experiment. It's a bit like that, only about 12 times more painful and psychologically scarring. But yeah, I've seen the James Bond films, and I don't like them. I don't like them at all. They're all the same. There's very little difference between them. The Bond character is boring as hell. To me, I really dislike the Bond character. He is one of those. He's a bit like Superman in the sense that he can do anything. He can get out of any situation. He has expertise in basically every single thing that he does. Any situation that crops up, he can get out of it, and I find that fucking dull. Also, I think the actors who generally portray him are crap. Sean Connery, that everybody loves, I hate. I hate Sean Connery as an actor and as a person, it turns out. Anyone who wants to go and find it, there is a video of Sean Connery, an interview with Sean Connery. You can find it on YouTube, where basically he is providing justification as to why men should be allowed to beat their wives. Yeah, that's very charming, isn't it? Very charming indeed. Anywho, yes, Sean Connery is a terrible actor. He's a terrible actor in everything he's in. He does the same thing. He plays himself, whether it's appropriate or not, and he's dull. He is boring as hell, and he's as boring as hell as Bond. The others I just don't care about. So, I was dragged to see Skyfall. I was dragged kicking and screaming by one of my clients, who happens to be a rather big James Bond fan. And when I saw the length of the damn thing, I think it's about 2 hours, my heart melted and my soul shriveled a little bit. My initial reaction was, my God, 2 hours of James Bond. I don't think I'm going to survive this, not psychologically intact anyway. I love being disappointed sometimes. I love having my expectations defeated. From the first frame this movie had me. From the first frame, from the first scene. Why? Because it's brilliant. It's astoundingly good. Even if you're not invested in the James Bond universe, and as I previously mentioned, I'm not at all. The technical accomplishment of this film is awe-inspiring. It is staggeringly brilliant. It's the cinematography, the direction, the action set pieces, everything is pristine. It is pitch perfect. Sam Mendes, who has directed this piece, has taken the essential stuff of Bond, all of the tropes, all of the established factors and aspects of the Bond franchise, and has created this beautiful love letter to not only the fans of the franchise, but to cinema in general, to the legacy of Bond in cinema, but not to the point whereby it would alienate people like me, people who don't necessarily know the Bond franchise that well, or people who just don't care. It's not alienating at all, although it is chock full of references. There are references to the books, there are references to the previous movies, there are references everywhere, but they are not... They're not overt, they're not egregious. They don't smash you over the face like some references can. They are subtle, they are little nods and winks that are just there to add the right level of familiarity and spice and wryness, and that's it. Beyond that, beyond the Bond fan stuff, it is a stunning action film. It is smart, it is beautiful. It's beautiful. Every scene in this movie is shot like a painting. It's shot with such love for action cinema. It captures motion. It frames motion and activity in the same manner that a ballet or a fencing class does. It is sensationally beautiful. It really is. And as for those conservative arseholes, I mean, I understand if you don't like Daniel Craig on some merits, you know, I understand if you just don't like him, if he just doesn't appeal to you, but those arseholes out there who are just reacting against him because it's not Sean Connery or whatever, really, fuck off. This is the only time in any of the Bond films where there is a little bit of depth given to the Bond character. Before this, he is frictionless. He is beyond harm. He is perfect in every situation. What this movie does, and it's so clever, it's such a brilliant way of making this character interesting and new again, whilst also retaining all of the elements that make him essentially him. It pares Bond down. It basically hamstrings him. The Bond in this movie is a little bit older, he's a little bit creaky round the edges, he's old school at this point. He's not as good as he used to be. Not only that, but he is crippled, he has injuries that make him, that take away a lot of his essential skills. So he is left with very little to rely on. The movie also goes out of its way to take away the silliness, it takes away the gadgets, deliberately rips them away from him. There's that wonderful... What it does is it takes the essential structure of Bond and then it inverts a lot of the scenes. So you have the scene where you have Q coming up and giving him a briefcase full of... which is usually full of silly gadgets like razor edge throwing cards, exploding ballpoint pens, that kind of crap. Not in this one. No, all of the silly sci-fi stuff is basically sidelined. There's a little bit of it. There's a tiny hint, just a nod to previous stuff. And that's all. All of that is sidelined. What he gets is a gun and a radio, and that's it. And basically both of them are taken away from him pretty soon. It focuses attention down on the Bond character. Who is he? And why does he do what he does? I mean, there's a lot of stuff in this about motivation as to why Bond functions the way he does, why he's so invested in his job. And it paints Bond basically as a bit of a sociopath. He's this very cold, very clinical, almost emotionless human being who... And it's wonderful. It's really interesting. You actually give a damn about Bond's character, and frankly, Craig plays it wonderfully. He is brilliant. He has a sort of stoicism about him that works for the character, even when he's wounded, even when he's creaking around the edges and his joints are playing up. There is this grizzled, let's get on with it, a very Englishness actually, a very sort of British quality, which is let's just get the fuck on with it. And it's wonderful. It's so well portrayed. And the movie makes a point of making this an actual theme of the story. It focuses, it's about Bond. It's about Bond, it's about his job, it's about the morality of his job, and so many other things. It's a gorgeous bit of work. And that, of course, like any Bond film, it could have quite easily failed were the supporting cast not superb. And they are, all of them. All of them. There's not a weak character amongst them. I mean, some of them they are kind of token Bond characters. They're thrown in to be the token Bond characters. Like basically the sort of hyper sexism of all the Bond movies is here. It's here and intact. So women are there to either be harridans like viragos like Dame Judi Dench's Q, or they're there to be fucked by Bond, and then to betray and fuck him in turn. That's the way of it. That's the way these movies work, unfortunately. And it's very difficult to write female characters for a Bond film that are anything other than that. It is the nature of this universe. So if the sort of hyper-sexism of the Bond universe doesn't float your boat or offend you, you won't like this at all. That said, Dame Judi Dench's Q is excellent. Ralph Fiennes as M is wonderful. Is it Ben Whishaw is fantastic. Very, very small role, but he's really quite wonderful because he again feeds into the themes of the movie. Nothing is redundant. That's what I love about it. Nothing is redundant. Everything feeds into the themes of the movie. And then you have by far the thing that sold me on the movie completely, and that is the villain. Javier Bardem is the villain in this, and my God, what pristine, perfect casting. The villain in this movie doesn't turn up until at least 2/3 of the way through. You never see him. You get impressions of his influence, and that's it, but you never see him. And he is introduced in this stunning shot, this technically brilliant shot, where he comes down in a lift, Bond is tied up to a chair, and Javier Bardem's character, Silva, is miles away across the other side of the room, and it's an unbroken, unedited shot where Javier Bardem approaches Bond, walking very slowly from one side of the room to the other, giving this wonderful soliloquy which basically spells out the nature of his character, as Bond villains do, and it is delivered in the most cold, strange, frightening way. Javier Bardem can play psychopaths brilliantly, and the best thing about this villain, they do the classic thing. He is the dark side of Bond, essentially. He's a rogue agent. He has all the training, he has all the gadgets, he has all the know-how, the skills that Bond does. The only difference is he's on the other side of the fence. That's it. That's what they established. That's what they set up, and that's the sort of dynamic of the relationship they share. And that could have been good in and of itself, but established very early on are these other themes that complexify the relationship, but which are never burdensome. Javier Bardem refers to Q, to M rather, not Q. Sorry, Dame Judi Dench's M. Rather, he refers to her as mother, because it was Dame Judi Dench's M who sent him off on his missions and whatnot, where he was eventually given up or captured or whatever, and summarily tortured and so on and so forth, which basically turned him against the institute which he originally served. He refers to her as mother, and he has this strange, at once fraternal and yet at the same time incestuously sexual romantic relationship with Bond. It's so brilliant. It's so weird. There are some genuinely uncomfortable moments involving that character. And the dynamic between the three of them, which is of a broken, twisted family, is emphasized throughout. It is glorious. It's just wonderful. It's just enough. It's not overt. It doesn't ever become like an art house piece. It doesn't ever burden itself with trying to be too clever. It just establishes these things very subtly and then runs with them. It runs with them. Everything is beautiful. Another thing I love about the movie is that Bond movies are like the Bond books. The universe in which they operate is absurd. It's this ridiculous heightened universe where people don't talk to one another in a practical manner. What they do is verbally fence. Every communication, every conversation the characters in this movie have, they're basically fencing. There is this poetic subtext, pardon me, the sort of insinuation, layers of insinuation beneath every single word. So you get these wonderful, almost Wildian pieces of wit, where they are rapier fighting with one another with their tongues, with their voices. And that's especially true of Bond and Silver. Every conversation they have is a battle of wits, and it is pristinely written, pristinely executed, and beautifully, beautifully shot and directed. It is a sincere joy from beginning to end. I cannot recommend this movie highly enough. I will happily... Sam Mendes is directing the next Bond as well. I will happily go and see the next one. It will be the first time I will be genuinely excited about watching a Bond film. I can tell you that. I want to see it simply to see where Sam Mendes takes it next, to see what he can do that he hasn't already done with the franchise. Just brilliant, just stunning work. Right then, next part, Rise of the Guardians. Rise of the Guardians. Now, this is a movie again I didn't want to see. Good God, did I not want to see this one. It's a holiday-themed movie, and holiday-themed movies, be they Easter, be they Christmas, be them whatever, are generally shit. They are generally saccharine, sentimental, patronising, condescending pieces of wank. Worse than that, it's a CG kids film, and CG kids film generally these days are par for the course. They are lazy, they are inept, they're patronising, they are hyperactive, ADHD-driven, Madagascar-style crap, and I hate them. I hate them with a fiery passion, by and large. The only exception I can think of to the holiday-themed movies that I actually enjoy is The Nightmare Before Christmas, which is quite ironic, really, because that is a movie, it is the holiday movie, because it's a movie about holidays. So, Rise of the Guardians, and it's also DreamWorks, I believe. And the thing about DreamWorks is they do some interesting stuff, but they are very hit and miss. There are some fantastic movies in their back canon, like Kung Fu Panda, and there is some lamentable wank like Madagascar and Ice Age. So, a bit ambiguous about this one. I was hooked almost right away from the very first scene. The tone and style of this movie is unlike any of its contemporaries. It is most unlike a CG children's film. It is not what you expect at all. The very first scene involves a young man drowning. He falls through ice, a frozen lake, trying to save his sister, and he dies. It's the tone of the scene is very strange. It's very grim, and it sets the mood for the rest of the film. He ostensibly drowns or freezes to death, and the way the scene is directed and shot, it is beautiful. It's very beautiful. The last thing he sees as he's sinking into the water is the moon, the full moon through the crack in the ice, and the rays of the moon lift him up. They draw him up out of the water and up into the sky, where he is recreated as Jack Frost. He's reborn as Jack Frost, but he doesn't remember who he used to be. He doesn't remember who he was. And the movie basically follows him. He is the protagonist. And he lives for a very long time. He's immortal at this point, and he has incredible powers. He can fly, and he can create these rhymes of frost. He can manipulate ice and snow and all of that stuff. But nobody can see him. Human beings can't interact with him. He's very much alone. He's a lonely character. Very mischievous. Not very unusual protagonist in that he's not always terribly sympathetic. He's quite immature. He plays pranks on people, and he's very lonely. He's very, very lonely, and has been lonely for a very long time. I mean, when he dies, it's in the 1800s, maybe 1700s. So he lives for a very long time. and then it catches up to modern day. And what you see in modern day is this world where characters like Jack Frost live. They exist. These what they would be called on Terry Pratchett's Discworld is anthropomorphic personifications, which is human fantasies made flesh. They are human. They are human fantasies who exist. They actually live in this metaphorical world of imagination, where they can't be seen, but where they interact with the real world. And what DreamWorks have done is reimagined and redesigned a lot of classic holiday-based figures like Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, the Sandman, and they're beautiful, all of them. They are absolutely stunning. The reimaginings of these characters are distinct and interesting and complex. They are very, very complex. All of them are human beings initially. They are all human beings. And they are recreated by the Man in the Moon, who you never see. He's only ever referred to. He's almost like a god character, the Man in the Moon. He chooses people based upon the characteristics that they demonstrate in their lives, and he recreates them. He makes them into these beings of pure imagination whose purpose, it's revealed, is not to protect something so flimsy as childhood innocence. No, it's not that at all. It's more complex than that. And really, kudos to the movie for establishing this brilliant mythology, and also for not giving in to the easy answers. It's not innocence. What I think it's the Tooth Fairy who explains it. What she says is their business is to protect the parts of human beings who are still children. It's to protect the memories that people use, and when things are dark, when things are bad, it's to protect imagination and fantasy and the stuff that allows human beings to see poetry and meaning in life. And that is beautiful. That is stunning. That is something very complex for a children's movie to talk about. And it's brilliant. It is absolutely wonderful. The Santa Claus character, he's sort of like the avuncular character. He is ostensibly the leader of the Guardians, if you like. And he explains to Jack Frost the reason he was chosen is because he sees the wonder in everything. He sees beauty and art and fun in everything. Hence he becomes this big, jolly avatar of fun and games and wonderment. That's why he becomes Santa Claus. It's brilliant. It's quite brilliant. And thrown into this mix, you have the character, the antagonist character. I mean, for his time, Jack Frost is a sort of antagonistic character. He's a neutral party in many respects. He doesn't like the other Guardians at all. He doesn't sort of interact with them very much. He's kind of jealous of them because they still have a following. Children still believe in them to a certain degree, and so can still see them. But Jack Frost, nobody knows. Most people don't even know who Jack Frost is. But there is a dark character, of course. Another one of the Guardians, essentially. He is a man who was chosen by the Man in the Moon. But like Jack Frost experiences the same thing. Jack Frost consistently asks why. Why was I chosen? Why was I recreated? What is the purpose of this? And he gets no answer. The Man in the Moon is silent. He doesn't answer anything. He doesn't even appear. And the antagonist character, whose name is Pitch Black, he's quite brilliant, asks the same thing. He's the boogeyman. His aspect is fear. He's a nightmare. He's a living nightmare. And when you first see him, he is creeping out of the shadows of a child's bedroom whilst the Sandman is crafting dreams for them. And he touches one of the dreams and it corrupts. It turns into a nightmare. It's quite brilliant. He's a character who has motivation. He feels betrayed and abandoned just like Jack Frost does. He is a really excellent, threatening villain. And I love it. I thought the movie was genuinely brilliant throughout. It's funny. It is not patronising. There are some instances of bad language in this. The Easter Bunny is a great reimagining. He swears a lot for a children's film, and it's quite violent. It has a sort of superhero vibe about it. They're kind of like a team of superheroes against the supervillain, and it's it's wonderful. The design is great, the direction is great, the acting is really good. It's a stunning film. I really can't. Again, it deserves kudos for what it's trying to do. It deserves kudos because it's a non-patronising, interesting, well-told story that is trying to make children think and feel something, to inspire them. And that makes it very worthy, especially amongst the canon of dross, dreary, pop culture reference spouting bullshit that you usually get from CG children's films. The Hobbit. The Hobbit. Contention by name be The Hobbit. In fact, wow, I love the Lord of the Rings films. I really do. When I was younger, I was a hard, fast Tolkienite. I used to love The Lord of the Rings. It was my favourite book as a child. I read it first when I was 6, and I read it. The first time I read it, I picked it up and I read it again, and I read it again and again and again, and I read it at least once every year up until I was about 12 years old. And then I found Clive Barker and Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett and the much more darker confrontational fantasy, which I really do favour at this point. And Tolkien very much got sidelined. I found more elegant writing, I suppose, too. I find The Lord of the Rings horrendously hard to read these days, simply because it's so tumescent. The writing is actually, on a technical level, quite bad. It's the story and the mythology that pulls it along that makes it so interesting. It is still a wonderful work. It has wonderful elements. I think as a mythology, it's fantastic, and as an epic work, it has great merit. But the writing is really bad. And the movies, I think Peter Jackson's movies better the books. I think they do. I think the world is better. I think the mythology in the world that Tolkien established works better when you can hear the languages being spoken, when you can see the worlds and the cultures and the architecture and the peoples that Tolkien created. I think it works better. Not only that, but the Lord of the Rings movies do things with the story and characters that Tolkien probably should have done but didn't. They introduce layers of ambiguity that the books don't have. They introduce character aspects that the books don't have. They utilise character better than the books do. In the books, there are characters who turn up, they're there for a chapter at most, sometimes just for a few pages, and then they disappear with no explanation whatsoever. They are pointless characters. Glorfindel is a great example of that. But the movies blew me away. All of them. The Lord of the Rings movies, they're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but they are beautiful. They are stunning examples of how you do a literary adaptation, and that is, you do not reproduce the book verbatim because it doesn't fucking work. What you do is you take the essential core, the spirit of the book, and you utilise that to craft something from. You invest the adaptation with that same spirit, and that's what Peter Jackson did beautifully with The Lord of the Rings. Now, The Hobbit was always going to be contentious, and the more I heard about the production, the more worried I got. The fact that it was split into 3 films, The Lord of the Rings you can do that with, definitely. It not only warrants 3 films, it needs 3 films to tell the story in any coherent manner. The Hobbit, no. The Hobbit, I think... The Hobbit, you could potentially tell in 2 films. At a push, you could cram it into 1, but it would be very tight and very fast, and very... there would be a significant lack of focus. But 2 films, definitely. 3, I worry. And I'm still worried, even having seen the movie. And I liked it. I liked The Hobbit a lot. I know a lot of people didn't. In fact, the client I took to see it didn't like it. And his complaint was the same as every other complaint I've heard out there. And that is that it's overlong. Given. I will grant that it is very long. It's a very long film. arguably even overlong. Although I don't think so. I don't think it is overlong. I think that the things that are introduced are necessary by and large, and the bits that have been added in work beautifully. Radagast the Brown is a good example. Radagast the Brown is a character who occurs in The Lord of the Rings. He does not occur in the Hobbit book, he occurs in The Lord of the Rings. He's a good example of one of those characters who is basically a footnote in the book. He turns up for literally 2 pages. He is referenced in backstory by Gandalf, and that's it. He tells Gandalf something, then that's it. Never again is Radagast mentioned. He doesn't fit tonally in the Lord of the Rings films. He wouldn't have fit. I'm glad they didn't put him in. In this movie, he does. He fits tonally so well in The Hobbit. He has much more of a comic edge to him. Ably played by Sylvester McCoy. I mean, it's a wonderful performance. It really is. It's very comic, very exaggerated, but it has this... It has ambiguities, it has moments of darkness to it, and moments of significance. Unlike Tolkien, Jackson has actually given Radagast something significant to do. And that's wonderful, that's brilliant. I felt that this movie was very well done. I think, again, Jackson has done that thing. He's taken the essential core of the book and has crafted something bigger and more epic and beautiful from it. If Jackson tried to recreate The Lord of the Rings, it wouldn't have worked. The tone of the book is different. It's very different from The Lord of the Rings. It's not as epic. It's not as grand. The stakes are not as high. And also, the book has this swashbuckling quality to it. The pace of it is much less ponderous than The Lord of the Rings. It has this quality of a buccaneer's tale, of a classic fantasy, almost Dungeons and Dragons style tale, which it and The Lord of the Rings largely inspired, of course. It's a very simple story about a hobbit, a creature which Tolkien himself invented, by the way, and a gang of dwarves and a wizard who go off to have adventures with elves and goblins and wolves and giant spiders and a big dragon, and that's basically it. That's what it is. What Jackson has done is exactly what he did with The Lord of the Rings to a certain degree. He's gone and looked in the appendix works, the histories of Middle-earth and the Silmarillion and all that stuff, and he's brought that to the fore. He's actually tried to fit The Hobbit into the mythology, the back mythology of Middle-earth, and into the back mythology of The Lord of the Rings, so that the events that play out in it are significant. One thing that quite surprised me at the beginning, for example, is you get a whole history of Erebor, the Dwarven Kingdom, which Smaug the dragon sacks and destroys, and takes up residence in. There's a whole history to that. A whole history. You get to see the dwarves mining and crafting their halls and shit like that. And it is absolutely stunning. It's a very surprising element. And I imagine one of those elements that some people would find to be redundant, to be unnecessary. I didn't think so. I liked it. I thought it added... It allowed you to get invested, so that you understood why it was so important that the dwarves were on this quest in the first place. Because in the books, it's kind of difficult to understand. Their motivations are very simple. It just seems like they just want to go and get their gold back, and they want to kill the dragon. It's an adventure story. Whereas in the movie, you have these layers, you have this subtext, and alongside that, you have the ostensibly more comic element of Bilbo. Now, Bilbo is played by 2 people in this, because the story is told in retrospect. So it starts just before The Lord of the Rings starts, funnily enough, with old Bilbo, with Ian Holm playing Bilbo. You even have a cameo from Elijah Wood as Frodo, which was very nice. And he is writing down his memoirs. He is writing the Red Book of Westmarch, which ostensibly becomes The Lord of the Rings. He's telling the story of what really happened to him. And it's brilliant. It's quite beautifully framed. It's very beautifully framed indeed. Martin Freeman plays the younger Bilbo, and my God, he's going to get work off the back of this rained down upon him, because he is the heart and soul of this movie. He captures the essence of Bilbo, this slightly conservative, slightly pompous, wittering, not really wanting to go out and do anything quality. He captures it so well, the reluctance of Bilbo at the beginning, yet at the same time this ambiguous urge to get out, to get away from the Shire. It's beautifully captured, and he is brilliant. I mean, Martin Freeman is a great protagonist in this film, and the film does, as it should, revolve around him by and large. There are some tertiary stuff that's introduced, which is it's only referred to in the book in retrospect. There are points in the book where Gandalf goes off for no real good reason, and the reason Tolkien did that was because Gandalf is a wizard and he could have just got the dwarves out of any situation quite easily. So you need to get rid of Gandalf in the story. You need to get rid of him so that the dwarves and the Hobbit can be put in peril. In the book, what Gandalf talks very vaguely about a meeting of the White Council so that they can drive a character called the Necromancer out of Mirkwood. And that's it. It's hardly ever referred to. It certainly doesn't occur within the book. It is just an excuse to get Gandalf away from the party. In this movie adaptation, Jackson has taken it further. He's actually created an entire segment of the story which involves the politics. It's the darker part of the story, and it acts as a very good foil, as a tonal palate cleanser to the swashbuckling, slightly comic nature of the story that involves the dwarves and Bilbo. There is a darker, more political element, it's fleshed out in the Lord of the Rings books, actually, because in the Lord of the Rings books, Tolkien basically retconned the Necromancer and the White Council, so that the Necromancer turned out to be Sauron. It's the essence of Sauron taking shape again in his old fortress of Dol Guldur in Mirkwood. And again, this is where Radagast comes into it. Radagast is a hippie. He's a hippie wizard. And he lives amongst animals and things, and he smokes pipeweed, and he eats mushrooms, and he has bird shit in his hair, and so on and so forth. But he notices a creeping corruption through the forest that is killing things. It's sickening trees, it's killing animals, and it's twisting everything. It's coming from Dol Guldur, and he finds that there's an essence, an entity in Dol Guldur which they call the Necromancer, because it seems to be able to resurrect the dead. So Gandalf, having been told by Radagast, calls a meeting of the White Council because he is afraid, he suspects, quite rightly as it turns out, that the essence of Sauron has returned. Of course, there's a lot of... The White Council consists of characters we know. It's Elrond, Galadriel and Saruman, essentially, and Gandalf. So Saruman is a good guy in this movie. He hasn't been corrupted yet, though I imagine we will see his corruption begin in the latter movies. My guess is there's not much about the Necromancer and the White Council in this movie. There's just the backstory for it, really. My guess is that we will see more of that in the next movie, because there won't be that much for the dwarves and Bilbo to do in the next movie. To be perfectly honest, there isn't a great deal. There's their encounters with the giant spiders in Mirkwood, and there's the elves, and there's their reaching Lake Town, and the Lonely Mountain, which is where Smaug lives. Not that much to deal with, but there is a great deal, which is implied in the book. You never get it specified. You never, ever, ever, ever get it specified. Gandalf just turns up again at one point and says, "Oh yes, I was off fighting the Necromancer. Oh, you don't know, don't worry about it. Oh, let's get on with this adventure. Let's go and kill this dragon and get your gold back." And that's the way the story goes in the book. It's never referred to again until The Lord of the Rings. In this movie, I imagine we're going to see it. I imagine we're going to see a fucking huge smackdown fight between the forces of Rivendell and Elrond and Galadriel and Lothlorien and Gandalf, and maybe even Saruman will get involved, fighting the Necromancer and his forces in Dol Guldur. That would be my guess. I think we're going to see a proper smackdown battle, and I imagine we're going to see a sort of confrontation between Saruman and the Necromancer, which is how the corruption begins. That would be my guess, anyway. But yes, getting back to this movie, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, although it is unutterably long. It's a very long film. I enjoyed every element of it. I thought the acting was superb. superb. I mean, every actor in this movie. Jackson is an actor's director, I'm telling you. He wrings amazing performances out of his actors, and he knows exactly how to shoot and to frame to make the performances seem epic and wonderful. He knows exactly how to do it. It's basically Lord of the Rings light. As it should be. It's the Lord of the Rings with more action set pieces, more laughs, and just faster paced. And I loved it. I loved every element of it. Gandalf, Ian McKellen, is brilliant in this movie, even more so than he is in The Lord of the Rings. I liked him better in this movie than I did in The Lord of the Rings. He gets so much to do. Gandalf, I mean, the movie is it is Martin Freeman's, it's Bilbo's movie. But Gandalf gets to kick ass in this movie. He finds his sword, he finds Glamdring, the elven sword, and the scene where the dwarves and Bilbo are captured by the goblins in the Misty Mountains, and Gandalf leads them out. He's sort of fighting his way through the goblins or whatnot. He kicks ass. He's fighting, he's stabbing, he's smashing with his staff, he's throwing fire and light and stuff. He is brilliant. So he's an amazing character. You get much more of a sense of Gandalf as a fighter, not as a doddering old wizard, but as an entity, a power in his own right here. Because he does initially turn up. I mean, Bilbo has this great line where he's asking Gandalf about, are there any other wizards in the world? And he says, are they all great, or are they like you? I mean, Gandalf comes off initially as this slightly nomadic, trampish character, but it transpires by the end of the movie he's not that. He is a power in his own right, to be respected, and it works very well. It works very well. Although, I mean, I liked all of the dwarves. I particularly liked Thorin Oakenshield. I thought his portrayal was very good. Most of the dwarves are as they are in the books. They're just names, and that's it. With a few of them as characters. They're just there to fill out the numbers, really. That's fine, but what they do, what Peter Jackson does beautifully, is give them something. At least they all have aspects, they all have characters to them that are introduced very quickly, not really belaboured too much, but it gives them something distinct so you can recognise them, and that's great too. It's really good. There are moments of high emotion in this movie. There's a bit towards the end when Bilbo the first movie is definitely about Bilbo proving himself. It's about Bilbo not becoming just a walking sack or a walking weight to the dwarves, but proving himself as a member of the party, and he does, and it's brilliant. And there is this wonderful moment where he's accepted by the dwarves, and it's great. It's genuinely heartfelt, boy's own stuff. It's great. It's absolutely wonderful. The effects are amazing, as you'd expect. They're even better than they are in The Lord of the Rings. Gollum looks brilliant in this film, and is brilliant. He is wonderful. The scene with Gollum is my favourite scene in the whole film, just as it was my favourite scene in the books. And you know what? It's better in this film than it is in the books. It is. Why is it better? Because it has the benefit of having all of the character stuff that Gollum had in The Lord of the Rings but didn't have in The Hobbit. In The Hobbit, Gollum, like the ring, is incidental. He's just a monster in a cave that Bilbo encounters, and that's it. And the ring is just a magic ring that he finds. That's it. It is not built up to be anything in the book. It was made into something else retrospectively when Tolkien started writing The Lord of the Rings. But in this adaptation, Gollum is his fully fleshed self, so he has that wonderful multiple personality thing going on. So and Bilbo notices this very quickly because Gollum and Smeagol talk to one another as they're talking to him. So he plays them off against one another, and it is stunning. You feel every emotion that you should for Gollum. You're frightened of him, you feel a certain contempt for him, but at the same time he is genuinely sympathetic. Especially when he realises the ring is gone. He is very sympathetic at that point because he is so pathetic, he's so sad at that point. And you're feeling what Bilbo feels. That's the most brilliant thing. When Bilbo stays his hand and doesn't kill Gollum when he has the chance, you are feeling what he is feeling. And it's brilliant. It is wonderful. I really I enjoyed every moment. I did, even though it was very, very long. And I think for people who don't like very, very long films, this one will defeat you. This one will hurt you. But if you're a fan of The Lord of the Rings, if you like good swashbuckling adventures, if you like things that have lots going on at once and lots of different characters and lots of story arcs, I don't think you can get any better than this, to be perfectly honest. I loved it. Loved it.